and then you put it.
All right, let's, David, whenever you're ready with that phone. Greg, you good to go? And if it picks it up a little afterwards, okay.
It's live.
3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Friday edition of the EWC Horological Happy Hour. I'm Justin, this is my colleague Rob. Just like last week, we're going to talk about 6 pieces that came in this week that we're excited about that will be hitting our website soon. Again, these are pieces that aren't necessarily live on our website yet. Some of these actually are, we'll mention that, but most are not. It's just kind of a way to highlight some of the cool stuff that came in this week, get you guys all jacked up and excited about it. But don't be sending us messages asking us for specific details and pricing yet. Keep it on our website. They'll be hitting the site soon.
Very soon.
Very soon, yeah. Hopefully, within the next couple of days. But thanks again for tuning in. Let us know in the comments if there are any issues with sound or video or anything. We did a lot of work over the past week to try and make this a little bit more of a professional operation. So, Rob, kick us off.
Yeah, I hope everybody can hear us. Please hop into the chat. Let us know if you're getting audio, if you're getting video. I think we've got everything worked out, but we're going to keep working on it either way. So I'm going to jump right in since we're on a little bit of a limited timetable and start talking about some of the pieces we have here. Each week, as Justin and I are doing this and looking through our inventory, we're trying to pick a nice range of things so that you can see the full gamut of what we do in terms of like different brands, different manufacturers, and different levels of watch too. Some stuff that's very high end and kind of niche, and then some stuff that's more broader appeal, so to speak. So I actually want to start with a new release that I've been really, really surprised about once I got it in my hands, and that's this new Tudor Black Bay on the Jubilee. We've still got the plastic on this. I'm going to pull that off real quick. So we've got the Black Bay with the burgundy bezel, which was the original iteration of this. We've got a gilt dial, gilt hands, and we've got a new Jubilee from Tudor, which I thought was just a home run for them. I think this watch is super comfortable since the Jubilee has the smaller links. It's really nice on the wrist, fits really well. Classic Black Bay proportions other than that, but I think the way they've updated this is just super duper nice. And I mean, at the price point, you can't go wrong.
Yep. And sorry, quick little technical note. You may see us reaching off to show some watches and things. If you guys want to get more angles, more details, we actually have a 2-camera setup that is live over on our YouTube page. So go onto YouTube, search for European Watch Company, and we are live streaming there as well with, like I said, additional camera angles and everything.
Thank you.
Back to the sorry, we're terrible at this. It's okay. Back to the Tudor. So that was new for 2023. And what is new, Rob? It's the Jubilee bracelet
and the gilt dial.
And the gilt dial, right? Because previously it was the red bezel with just the traditional black.
Like
bay.
a matte dial.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but
yeah, but what's not to like?
I mean, so first of all, I'd rather have the reduced size. I don't know. I don't love the Jubilee. It doesn't do it for me. I appreciate that Tudor is trying to broaden the collection a little bit and do more, but it's just, I don't know, it doesn't sing for me. I don't know. I'd rather have just a straight Black Bay on the Rivet Oyster bracelet. I think that's much better.
Oh, see, I like this much better than the Rivet.
Really?
The Rivet to me is cool. I appreciate what they were doing with that, but to me it's just a really slick presentation, and I like the bevels. I like the no crown guards. It's like, I mean, it's the closest thing you're going to get to like a big crown sub.
Yeah, I think I'm just
for super reasonable money.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the best value on that tray by a long shot. And I still think that the Tudor Black Bay is probably the best bang for buck when it comes to just like a super high quality bang around everyday watch. I think if I had never handled a modern Rolex Jubilee, I would be thrilled with that watch. But because I have felt the difference between a Rolex Jubilee and this just doesn't feel as tight and as robust to me as that does. But
I don't find them that different.
Okay, whatever.
I don't find them that different.
So, David, we are blown out with lighting right now. If you want to dim it a little bit for us, that'd be amazing.
Who do we have? Anybody watching?
Oh, sorry.
Is
yeah.
anybody out there?
It looks like we got a good number of people tuning in.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll keep on calling stuff out, guys. If you have questions about pieces, about things you want to talk about, etc., that's good, David. Just throw them in the comments, and we'll do our best to answer things as we go. Before we go to another watch, I figured let's talk about, we're doing a horological happy hour. So this is the happy hour portion of the hour. Rob and I decided to go with a little harpoon for fall. This is the flannel Friday. So harpoon,
right?
if you're out there and you feel like shooting us some, just a little something to promote. We're here. We're available. Next up on our list. Going to jump to the AP Royal Oak. This is a rose gold iced out rainbow edition. Let me pull up the details so I don't get them wrong here. So this is the 15413 OR.
Come on, camera.
Diamond dial with camera. Oh, there it is. So with the rainbow bezels. So this is the full pave dial. And then you have those rainbow sapphires on the bezel. Also, gorgeous AP rose gold case and bracelet. Nothing subtle about this watch at all. Super rare. They AP. It's regular production. But in order to get one, you have to be someone special, someone of note. So you're not going to walk into an AP boutique and just walk out with that. Sorry for the technical difficulties, friends.
There it is.
There it is. Nice.
Now you got it.
Cool.
Look at that gradient.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, very similar to, the Rolex, the Rainbow Daytona. The way that AP selects their stones and they create that gradient rainbow effect on the bezel is just ridiculous. There's really nothing. I mean, there's, like I just said, there's the Rainbow Daytona, which is like it, but this is pretty special. So.
And we've had the white gold version before.
We have.
And I think this blows it out of the water.
Totally agree.
The rose is so much nicer. You get just the warmth from the rose gold to me is much nicer than the white
is
gold.
A little cold when it's just and I think what's interesting on this is that the pave is on the dial is set in that rose gold toned base.
Yeah.
So you get it's funny on the white gold, the diamonds kind of disappear. It's just not as special. It doesn't feel as as impressive. So
and I just noticed the logos on the crystal.
Yeah,
the logos
cool
on the crystal. That's super smart.
Yeah.
And double baguettes for the hour markers, which I always love those little touches where like if you see it from this far, you don't really notice.
Sure.
And then as you get into it, you're like,
oh man,
whoa.
That's a lot of diamonds.
That's a lot of diamonds.
So yeah, that's a pretty special one. Palm Beach Live, you asked if you could see the watch. Were you able? Sorry, let me mention again, real quick, you guys. If you want to see the watches, go over to our YouTube channel. We have another camera set up, so 2 cameras set up where you can see all the watches as we're talking. A little bit more. We have a little bit more flexibility over on YouTube to do that. So. Tune in over there if you want to get more views of the watches.
Yeah.
At European Watch Co.
Yes.
On YouTube.
Yeah, you can just search European Watch Co on YouTube.
Okay. So, let's do one more, and then we'll do some news.
Sure.
Cool. All right. Next up, anybody who knows me will know that this is no surprise, but I have picked a Jaeger Reverso. The Reverso's always been a really special watch for me. I actually, before I worked at European Watch Company, I was living in Boston and I was walking down the street, saw the sign and was like, oh, I like watches. Popped in. And the gentleman who was helping me, who still works here, at the time, he said, what kind of stuff do you like? I said, I really enjoy watches that aren't round, be they rectangular or square. And he pulled out a Reverso. And he showed me the watch and he told me about Jaeger and he did the little parlay trick there and my mind was blown. I was just like, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen. So this, get that camera to focus. There we are. Thank you, David. So this is a special one that they did when they were going back to the original, and they called it the 1931, because I believe that was the first year they were issued to polo players who wanted to protect the glass while playing polo, because obviously back then they didn't have sapphire crystal. So designed to slide and lock as such, so that you had the steel case protecting your watch while you played polo, though we do not recommend playing polo with any watch, let alone this. But super cool, and now obviously they give you the option, you could have this engraved if you were gonna, have some special meaning there. And they also have ones obviously with duo face, or that show the movement, or that even show a separate complication, which is very cool. I like these standard ones with the solid back, being a bit of a traditionalist myself. And then this one, this one with the black dial, the lovely kind of cream colored indices vintage toned loon, and the syringe hands, which is what made this US edition different than the standard 1931.
Right.
And these are like incredibly hard to find.
So it was issued in 2011 for the 80th anniversary of the Reverso. 100 total pieces of this particular model. So yeah, I mean, like you said, Rob, it's been now 12 years. And it's funny, they really have kind of not disappeared, but we don't see as many of them as we used to. And it's interesting that the limited edition, the real difference is only those syringe hands.
Yeah, actually the loon color as well, I should say, because
really?
the standard ones are a little bit whiter. It's not like white,
yeah,
but it's definitely brighter than this. This is a little bit more orangey, creamy kind of colored.
But again, very subtle differences between them.
Oh, yeah.
But people really seek this one out. We've always seen a much higher level of demand.
Can
for
you
this one.
pull up a regular Reverso? Because the other thing I'm wondering, this only says Reverso on the dial, which to me is so cool. It's almost like Madonna, like you don't need more than that. It's just Reverso. I can't remember if the standard 31s have Reverso or just JLC.
So the standard just has Reverso.
Does have the Reverso as well. Yeah,
Its,
but it's one that's
features.
only for the 1931s, and you don't really see that on any of the standard Reversos where you have like the guilloche and the blue.
Yeah, super straightforward, super classic, obviously.
Yeah, it's a good size. It's ultra thin.
I mean, it's one of those watches that as a collector, or as a watch aficionado, I guess. Like there's certain models that it's almost trite at this point. People talk about every collector has to have one at some point in their collecting life. But I feel like the Reverso is on there. I mean, you have a Speedy, a Sub. And people, you really should own a Reverso. It's kind of the classic dress watch, that has really stood the test of time. It has a cool story too, which is, my favorite part. If I can find a piece that has a really compelling backstory, I'm all for it. So,
I think the history becomes part of the watch,
right?
Like, and you could look at the Royal Oak, you could look at this, you can look at the day date, you can look even at the Black Bay and kind of where that comes from. And I think that history, as a true watch enthusiast, that's something that compels you towards a certain model as well, because it goes beyond just a piece of metal with some springs and wheels and gears in it, right? Like that's why we're all doing this.
Yeah, exactly. I know, we're all suckers.
Yeah.
Do we want to take a quick break and talk about some other stuff and then come back? What do we think?
Before we do that, a reminder, if you are watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to this channel, because not only are we doing these horological happy hours, but we're going to be doing more reviews, and we're going to be doing all kinds of content on there now that we will be releasing on a regular basis. So we hope you're going to join us for that. And so if you are subscribing and hitting up for those notifications, you'll be sure to know when we're going live and when we're posting new videos.
Yep. If you haven't, if you haven't done that, go onto our channel, check out the review for the brand new GMT Master 2, the yellow gold Jubilee with the gray and black bezel.
Another great Jubilee.
Yeah, that one is much better than this one. But yeah, go check that out. Rob and I talk about it. We both loved it. Spoiler alert, but cool watch. So yeah, check that out.
And if you are watching on Instagram, head over to YouTube for slightly better quality and 2 camera angles so that you can actually see all of the lovelies that are on this tray here.
Yes. All right, so we are halfway through our 6 pieces that we chose. Let's take a little break. We're going to talk about the news. So not necessarily anything super newsy in watches this week, but something that we kind of have noticed over the past, I guess, several months, and especially really like this summer and quite recently, is the emergence of Tom Brady as like a monster watch collector.
Not just an endorser anymore.
Right. So, if you guys aren't familiar, Tom Brady had a contract first with Tag
I thought you were going to
Heuer.
say Tom Brady was a quarterback.
I'm not gonna go there.
In case you've been on Mars for the past
No.
decade.
No. So he had a contract with Tag Heuer as a brand ambassador first, and then that transitioned over to IWC for, I believe, 4-ish years. I think it was like 2018, 2019 through this year. And interestingly, you know, Brady was like super loyal to both of those companies while he was
Well, Tag
under
even made him a
contract.
watch. They
They
made
did,
that
yeah.
TB12
That was terrible.
limited.
It was
It's a
terrible.
Tag.
It was terrible.
They made that TB12 watch for
Yes.
him, so that's even like another level of commitment there.
Yeah.
Because IWC, he wore them,
Yeah.
but they didn't make him like a Tom Brady edition.
Well, and it's the interesting part is that, you know, other high profile brand ambassadors, you know, like David Beckham for Tudor, and I'm blanking now, but there are plenty of others. You know, these are people that you would see them at events wearing, you know, namely events that the company sponsored. They would be
Yeah.
at those events wearing, you know, those watches. You'd see Beckham at Wimbledon and whatnot wearing a Tudor. And then you'd see them elsewhere in their daily life, and they would be photographed wearing their normal stuff that they
Well,
just
it's like
liked and enjoyed.
when Daniel Craig was doing the Bond stuff,
Right.
And for the events, you'd always see him in Omega,
Right.
But then he's got a sick vintage
Right,
Rolex collection as well.
But Brady, you would see, and he'd be at like the Met Ball wearing like an IWC, and you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, how much are they? I mean, whatever. Maybe they were paying him a ridiculous amount of money, but now that he's out of contract earlier this year, all of a sudden he's everywhere with like the most ridiculous heavy hitting pieces that I've seen
Serious heavy
on
hits.
anybody's wrist. I mean, like just this summer alone, we saw him with a. Trying to think. So white 5711 at the white party in the Hamptons that there was like a billion pictures of everywhere. You know, crazy RM. He had the JPS, the John Player Special,
And the new
Newman
one.
Daytona, and also the JPS was at the Patriots event at
Right.
Foxborough, and then he was wearing the new one at, I believe, the U.S. Open, or was it Wimbledon? Craig, do you remember? Doesn't really matter.
I think
Anyway,
it was
he
US
at-
Open.
He was at a tennis event. I think it was the U.S. Open where he
With the
was
new Le Mans.
spotted wearing the new Le Mans, which is crazy. And then earlier this week, he posted a photo on his Instagram of him wearing a Patek 2499 with just like the "if you know you know" tag on the photo with nothing else, and like that's
it.
But
That's the apex.
yeah, that is the be all end all piece. Like no matter who you are, that's.
You have to admire his discipline. Because you have to imagine
you
he's
have
had that
those kind of
$24.99 for a while, right?
Yeah.
The Le Mans obviously is brand new, but like he must have had some of those, like sitting in his box.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I wish I could wear my $1 million Patek,
Yeah.
but instead I'll wear this
Just biding
IWC.
his
Like
time
that,
until he was out of contract.
that is
I guess.
honor, man.
Yeah.
That is like samurai level honor.
Yeah,
That's
for real.
That's heavy.
So I don't know. I'm trying to. I've been thinking about what he has or what we've seen him wearing, and I'm trying to think of what else I think is in that collection, or like where you go from a $24.99 and an RM12,
JPS.
like and a JPS, like
Yeah.
geez, that is just that. Again, like he pulled out like the best of the best of the best of each category that he decided to show up somewhere with. So I don't know. I'm trying to think like where you go from there. Like
What do you guys think?
Yeah, what else is in-
What should Tom buy next? I'm wondering, do we have any comments on YouTube? Are we missing anything there? Because I'd hate for people to be talking to us and we don't have anything.
People ask us
No?
questions. We're lonely. Please, please. We're lonely.
Who's watching? Do we have any fantastic screen
let's
names
see,
that
let's see.
warrant reading off?
Let's see. Well,
Social media Eric.
let's
Is
see.
that-
Kevin McKeel, David Toast, love it.
Let's go on.
Ozstagram, Keith Jove, Philip Bernhard. Come on, give me something. Give me something good. Sorry. I know this makes for super compelling television right now. All right, let's keep rolling, Rob.
All right.
I have no comments yet. Oh, Greg and Pellizzeri says hi. What's up, Greg? All right. Keep it rolling, Rob. What do we got next?
Actually, it's you because I just did the reverso. I did my reverso spiel. So
let's go with the paddock on the table.
the paddock. Let me get this unwrapped and then
So
we'll
this
switch
is
over to the cam. Instagram people, YouTube.
Yeah. So this is the Paddock 5236P. This was released, I believe, last year.
I think this might be 2021.
Was it 2021? Let's see. Yep, it was 2021. Sorry. See? So this is the inline perpetual. Incredible piece inspired by a vintage Paddock
Hey,
pocket
David,
watch.
I need some help.
And fairly unusual for Paddock. I mean, obviously, an inline perpetual is quite unusual. It's a very different format. We're not getting it. There
Am
we
I
go.
moving it too much?
No.
Okay.
One of my honestly one of my
angles.
favorite releases from Paddock in recent history. I love to see them doing something slightly different, something slightly unusual, and it's a fairly large watch. It's 41 and a half, I think.
It's got a big diameter, but it's not like super
Well,
thick.
that's what I was gonna say. It wears better than you'd expect, and I think it actually looks even bigger because it has there's a lot of dial there. I mean, one of the side effects of moving the of moving all of those registers to that one central inline display is that it leaves a ton of dial space, and you have this gorgeous kind of bluish, almost like an ombre textured dial. It just has a really incredible look. I absolutely love it.
When was it Paddock? When they released this, I think they posted a photo of like the dial off. And
Yes.
what's going
Oh
on
my God.
underneath of this dial is insanity.
Yeah.
It is so good looking.
Right. The engineering that goes into, arranging those, again, a perpetual calendar in that way is ridiculous. Like it's so difficult. And this, it's basically the 5235 case.
I was about to actually comment on that. So I have always been a lover of the
All the way off to-
5235, which is the white gold regulator.
Well aware.
Yeah, everybody knows I like that watch. And I've always been kind of confused as to why it hasn't done better, because it's such an interesting watch within Paddock's lineup. It's the only watch in that style case. At the time, it was the only watch in that style case with that kind of dial, with this caliber. They had a unique caliber for this watch. It was
Right.
like all of these things, and yet, I don't know. It was always good. People always liked it, but it was never like the man I gotta have it watch.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, we kind of always talk about it, but the pieces that, are like that don't necessarily do well when they're released, and, they don't get much attention, but they are very unusual. A regulator, in a very kind of unique case design from Paddock. Those are the ones that end up being highly collectible in the future. So we kind of always talked about that, like, the 5235 was, kind of like guaranteed to be, a future collectible. Sorry for any.
Oh, I think it is,
corrections,
and it's
we got-
discontinued
we
now,
got-
right?
It is
So
discontinued.
that watch came out, I believe, 2015.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Internet. We trust you. But I think it's 2015, and it took until 2021 or 2022. 2012.
Yep.
That was out for a while.
Yeah, it's up for a long
So
time. 10 years, basically.
and yeah, it took them a good 9 or 10 years before they decided to expand on that. But then when they did, I feel like it was absolutely worth it.
100%.
Because we got a watch that, in that same vein, has this kind of very modern feeling case, has a very modern feeling dial and caliber and size, but with this complication that we haven't seen for 100 years.
Well,
or
and I think
something.
like you're saying, it's interesting to have a piece that looks so modern. Looking at this layout and the case and just everything about it, it looks very modern, but it's inspired by a piece.
Like basically an antique pocket watch.
Yeah, an antique pocket watch from almost 100 years ago. So I don't know. I'm a huge fan. I really, really like when Paddock does things, slightly different. I appreciate a nice 5270 and or a 3940 or a classic Paddock perpetual calendar, but something like this, it's just really special. I really like it.
Yeah, I think this also is really good in how it diversifies the catalog for Patek.
Mhm.
So it's not just all stuff that feels kind of classic or almost
Yep.
vintage, because you know some of their pieces you look at it and it's like very clearly like classic Patek.
Right.
And then you have some of the newer stuff that's now kind of diverging
Mhm.
and mixing those modern and classic elements. Whereas in this, for me, feels like squarely modern
100%.
in every way.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder, if you want to see close-ups of these watches, go to the YouTube at European Watch Co. and you'll be able to see everything in better quality. So that's where the best viewing experience is. So every time we're talking about a watch, you'll see a close-up at our live on YouTube.
Yes, listen to producer Craig. He is correct.
All right, next up.
Cool. Any comments, questions
Nothing
before
yet.
we
Nothing yet.
soldier forward?
Guys,
We're
keep-
pretty good. We're making good time. We have time for
We're
you.
cranking. Yeah, let's
Ask us.
chat. Come on, hit us up.
All right. So then, I wanted to take a trip to Germany because we just got one of these in, and we haven't seen one for a while. This is the 1815 Walter Longa that they did. I think it was just before he died, actually, or just after.
I think it was. I believe it was in development
There we
when
go.
he was still alive, and I believe he
But I
passed
have to
away
line this
before
up.
they actually released the piece.
I know
could
it was right in there.
I could be
and
completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
And one of the things I like about this watch is it is the most obscure and like borderline useless complications out there. But as I mentioned before, for me, a mechanical watch is very much about the romance of it and like what it is and how it's made and the fact that they were able to do it and that they've done it in such a beautiful way. And so the functionality of it for me is very much secondary. And I know that this was actually extremely challenging to be able to make a watch that has both the running seconds and this
Jumping.
jumping
Yeah.
deadbeat second or stop second that also can be stopped
Yeah.
in a way, in like a chronograph. And so it's a super interesting watch. It's a super interesting movement, which obviously is what Longa is known for, right? Finishing in detail and things like that. So like stunning watchmaking all around. And then in a package that still fits really well on the wrist and almost wears like a traditional 1815, which is very cool because you get some Longas where they are the most epic watches you've ever seen. Oh, high tech. Some of the most epic watches you've ever seen, but they're massive and they're very heavy. And, you know, some guys can pull it off. I can't. But this to me is very wearable. And I actually like how unassuming it is on the top. You know, it's not. I'm going to do this for the Instagram peeps who refuse to join us on YouTube.
You gotta show off the movement.
You gotta come join us on YouTube, but we'll give it to you. For now.
I mean, honestly, like this watch does nothing for me personally, but this movement is absolutely beautiful. I think, you know, if I owned one for some unknown reason, I would just wear it upside down because I wouldn't care what time it was, and I would just want to see the movement all the time. Like,
Why don't you switch that
it's-
camera?
it's yeah, it's, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me.
No.
It,
But you
like
wouldn't buy an 1815
No.
of any sort.
No, I
Maybe
wouldn't.
a chrono,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you're
I would
just.
definitely buy
I
an
wouldn't
18
pick that
sure.
for you. Whereas I had a 36 mil 1815.
Yeah,
And I adored that watch.
right.
36 mil yellow gold with the blue hands. It was, you know, if I wasn't trading up, I wouldn't have traded it. Right? Like if the opportunity didn't present
Sure,
itself, I
sure.
wouldn't have traded it because that was really just perfection in the smallest package. And I really like that. I know. As I said it, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, no, I mean it is a great piece. You know, it's kind of like the essence of Longa, if that makes any sense. You know, it's super restrained.
Yeah, very pocket watchy.
Very pocket watchy, very Germanic, but it's also very complicated. It's very, you know, it's very out there, in like the most boring package possible. I say that with like all the love of my heart for Longa.
It's
it has
sedate. How about that?
sedate. All right, that's a nice way to say boring, but yes. Incredibly impressive complication.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like they just did it because they can, not because anybody asked for
Isn't
it.
that such a great flex though?
Yeah,
To have
absolutely.
like, it's almost like the Patek Turbies where the Turby's only on the back. Or like a
That-
Ferrier Turby, right?
That's
Where,
the Patek Turby, like what is it, the 5101, where it's just on the when it's on the back, like
yeah. the 10-day turkey
That's
combo.
the biggest boss move of
Exactly.
all time. You know, like
Yeah.
it's great. But
Or
again, like,
any Patek repeater, where it's like a plain watch with Roman numerals.
and it's like 35 millimeters.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
But then it's the loudest repeater you've ever heard.
Right. It sounds
Yeah.
like a church next to you. I mean, this movement is absolutely stunning. Like the finishing is beautiful. The way it's laid out, the engineering, like it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's very German in that way, right?
Yeah.
It's like very much, and that's one of the things I think is very beautiful about Lange, and especially if you're kind of juxtaposing them with Patek.
yeah.
It's like you could have two chronographs or two perpetuals or two annuals, and you could have, you know, one Patek and one Lange next to each other in the box, and
Yeah.
have two completely different watches.
Oh God. Like night and day.
Yeah, because of that ethic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It does all come back to, you know, the brand, like you just said, like the ethos of the brand. You know what I mean? What they do, how they do it, and it's what makes, you know, it's what makes these brands different and special and interesting. And whatever, like they all you know, they all speak to different people. So
And that's the beauty of the hobby and the community.
really, you're following the community. All right.
It's a community. It is, right? You are our community, all of you.
Where? Oh, somebody asking for Josh. Hey, Josh and Albert. Hey. Come on, we're right here. Don't ask for other people. Come on, I see you.
He's testing.
Don't make me call you out. Also, I think you know where Joshua is right now, person who's asking, but that's okay. All right, so wrapping it up with. You killed
He's
me.
probably sitting next to Joshua or
Probably is,
something right
probably
now.
is. All right, so final watch on the table. We are ripping through this, so maybe we'll chat about other things. But final watch on the table is the Rolex 228239 Day-Date. It is a white gold president, black dial. It's not onyx, right? It's just the straight black dial. I
This is
believe.
just the black.
Okay, so just the black dial.
You can
glossy
tell the
black
onyx
dial.
because it has like the imperfections of the stone where it has like a
But
structure.
zoom in and check out those indices. We have some diamond baguette hour markers. So Rolex is kind of like the king of doing like subtle gem set watches, if that makes any sense. Like obviously rainbow stuff is not subtle, but you know, stuff like this and like the platinum, even the platinum Daytona, which sounds stupid to say, but like they're very subtle. You know, this is such a boss watch. You know, a white gold 40 mil president, but then you have like a gorgeous glossy dial with those ridiculous diamond baguette hour markers that kind of disappear into the dial unless you're really looking for them.
And that's the nice thing is it's a little more comfortable to wear because you don't feel like you're screaming from the rooftops.
Right. Yeah, no, it's you could totally wear this and not think twice, you know what I mean, walking down the street. It is obviously just classic Rolex. I think
But I think if you're buying a day-date, like anything other than a rainbow or, you know, the puzzle or something like that, you're looking for class and you're looking for that kind of old school boss watch mentality.
Yeah.
Which this has in spades.
Yeah, it's got so much class. It's heavy.
It's real heavy.
It's really
It's
heavy.
they do not skimp on the materials.
No.
It's so heavy, but it's like slamming the door on a nice car.
Yeah.
It's like it's satisfying
It's like
with
slamming the door on like an
how-
80s Benz or something. You
how
know what I mean?
heavy
It's-
that is and how, you know, it just feels like quality.
Yeah.
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 One of the best bracelets in the business. The
I mean,
president bracelet.
Everybody's has, you know, plenty of companies have tried to emulate it for decades, and I mean it's even just like we talk about it all the time where everybody tries to reinvent either the Rolex Oyster bracelet or the President, or even the Jubilee, like with the Tudor, and they all try to put their own spin on it, and it's like, guys, it's already been perfected. Just do what Rolex did. Just copy them. Like there's no shame in copying the best. Just do what they did.
You know what though? I actually would almost make the argument that I think it's harder to design a good bracelet than it is to design a good watch. Because think about how
interesting.
many watches have come out recently
Yeah.
where the watch is really good, but the bracelet leaves something
So
to
like
be
what?
desired.
Like because I can think off the top of my head of a few recent releases, integrated bracelet sports watches where the bracelet is actually excellent, and I think So all right, let's see. What do
So
you got?
the
What's
one
terrible? I want to know.
that comes to mind, and it's not terrible, but the Longa Odysseus in steel.
Okay, that's.
I
that's
think
terrible.
the watch is actually really, really good. The dial has a beautiful texture to it.
Yeah.
The movement's really nice. The size is good. But then they put that bracelet on there, and for me, I just don't get it.
So-
I don't like the way it connects under the lugs and stuff, or like
agree.
how it tries to integrate the lugs into
Yeah.
the bracelet, and it doesn't. To me, there's a split between the watch and the bracelet. They don't flow into each other
But
the
then-
way that like the AP or the Rolex.
But that
does.
watch does not work on a strap. The
Oh, I think it does. I think the
no,
white gold's much better.
oh God, no, the white gold is terrible. Jeez. Oh. So I agree that bracelet is not excellent, and it doesn't articulate enough for me. It's like the links are weirdly too oversized. I don't know. It's like every link is a link and a half, if that makes any sense.
They're big links.
And it just doesn't work for me. But God, no, that watch is terrible on a strap. It
Really?
loses everything that makes it distinctive when it's just on a strap. Plus, that rubber strap is garbage for that white gold, but whatever. The watch that I was thinking of that actually does the integrated sports bracelet well is the new Streamliner line. It's got that like armadillo feel to it.
Yeah.
It works really well with the way that it integrates into the case, the way it sits on the wrist.
Yeah.
The sizing is really easy.
Yeah.
It moves very nicely. And actually, another one that just comes to mind is the Octafinissimo.
I was gonna
bracelet.
say. I bet you're gonna say the Bulgari.
I mean, so I love the Octafinissimo. Unfortunately, it's just too big for my wrist because the square case lug situation.
Well, it's very flat.
Right,
And
it,
when you
with
have
my wrist
flat
bone, it
with
sits,
something bigger like that,
it sits very, very,
it's
you know,
very
very
much so.
awkwardly. So it doesn't work for me. If they made it in 38 or something, it would be incredible, and I would absolutely buy one. But I think that bracelet, we just lost the monitor. There we
We've
go.
actually
We
lost the camera.
We lost it.
Have we lost our front
the
view
phone
camera?
the phone is on, so let's see.
I think the monitor switched. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, we're back. Sorry, technical difficulties. Let's see.
So,
Is
but wait a
anybody-
second. Wait a second.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm seeing
Wait a
people agree
second,
with
because
me.
you are still very wrong. Craig, producer Craig, how many integrated sport watches have come out within the last 2 or 3 years?
It's a very specific question,
A
Robert.
lot,
Right? It's like a couple dozen,
at least.
right? How many of them have a really good bracelet? I don't
I
think
just
there's
named
that
two.
many.
You just agreed
You
with me.
named 2 out of like 30.
And you
That's
named
a-
one that was bad.
that's a
Give me
failing
more.
score.
Give me, what? You have 1 out of 30. I just doubled your results.
No way.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's see.
Yes. What do the people say?
Yeah, the bracelet is terrible. It isn't flush at all. It's chunky. Hard agree. See, the people
They
side
were
with
probably
me.
doing that while I was talking.
With
You're
me.
just not paying attention.
No, well, I'm not.
If-
I'm
if-
not paying attention to you talking, but that's okay.
The new Engineer has a nice bracelet.
I haven't
you're
seen
right,
one yet.
Actually, Craig is wearing it right now.
Oh, Craig has one.
Here we go. So this is nice.
Oh wow, that actually
It's thinner. It tapers nicely.
that I don't know if you can see. That's you want to talk about articulation. This speaks very well.
Here, I'm gonna look right now.
Show it on the ground.
Okay,
That's
so
crazy,
Li-
actually.
Lion Sean 61 says, how many of those watches that we're talking about will we still be looking at a decade from now or talking about? I think for sure the Octafinissimo, because that is going to they're still building out that line, and I think there's still a ton of room for them, to continue to add complication, to add different sizes, hopefully, like we just mentioned. So that one for sure. The Odysseus, I don't think so, because I mean, they are not producing enough pieces. They're not delivering enough pieces.
Right, but they don't want to.
Right, but so I don't know.
And I think we're going to see other complications. There's going to be a chronograph, no doubt in my mind. What are they saying? People are talking to us
I
now.
just read it to you. How
Oh.
many of those will we still be
okay.
talking
I
about?
can't see from there.
So
I
who's
have
not paying
old man-
attention
I
now?
have old
Who's
man
not paying
eyes.
attention now?
I saw it move.
Get your glasses fixed. Jeez. All right. But so for real. So what? Here, I'm gonna look up and see what other. Actually, you guys, does anybody have any other integrated sports watch, integrated bracelet sports watches that have come out in the recent past that we have not mentioned that we should be
What's
talking
good?
about? Like,
what are we missing that's really good? Like that Engineer,
Tonda.
I actually am impressed.
The Tonda.
The Tonda.
I like it.
So,
Yikes!
at,
Yikes!
Tonda PF, nice.
The Tonda PF is a good watch, right? It's a well-made watch. It's got a nice movement on it. It's got a good dial.
That was one we were going to talk about today. Producer Craig, do you mind running to the Parmigiani drawer and grabbing the skeleton Parmigiani Tonda that was on there?
That was what we were going to talk
we
about.
absolutely wanted to talk about that.
But that's the Tonda 1950, right? That's not. It's not the Parmigiani on the bracelet.
But you know what? No, that one is on a bracelet. I'm almost certain it is. Hold on, let me look. I could. Oh no. No, you're right.
That's the 1950 Tonda, which was the
you
previous
and I,
to the PF.
You and I were talking about the new one today, the skeleton Tonda. Dang. Okay.
Yeah, we were looking at that watch.
That's not the one we're
today as well. But the Tonda
hopefully,
PF.
Hopefully he'll grab the red Tonda. Yeah.
The Tonda PF. That's He'll come back. We'll send him out again.
And rude.
He'll be. The Tonda PF. It has an okay bracelet. I mean, I think it's really good. I think it's a well-made watch. It's well-designed. It has a good... that has a better continuity of design than the Longa, which is a lot coming from me because I really like Longa.
I do too. What can I say about the Parmigiani Florida Tonda PF?
Let's see. Is anybody telling us ones that we have missed?
Let me pull it up here. No one has mentioned any yet.
I brought you two.
Yeah, we were good.
Yes, you brought the one we really wanted. This one is cool too.
This is what we're talking about. Sorry.
But we're doing bracelets now.
So, my problem with Parmigiani right now is that...
this one is sealed though, so we can't quite... It does still articulate really nicely. Why don't you hit that switcher? And we can show you, like, it does have a good... I'll show Instagram here. Hopefully you guys can see. This looks great for the YouTube audience right now.
So this just to kind of give you the details. This is the Tonda PF. This is the GMT Rattrapante, which is, in my opinion, a useless complication. But
aren't they all? That's not
fair. Yeah. So MSRP is mid-30s, I believe, on this. My problem with Parmigiani and with these newer pieces in general is that there's a Philly over there. There you go. Finally, I am not interested in spending $30,000 on an independent that I don't know. I cannot get behind it. Yes, I agree. It's the movement is well made. It's beautiful. I don't know. I feel like it's a hyped brand right now, and I feel that it's not going to maintain value long term. That's my
That's
concern
a hot
with
take.
Parmigiani.
That's a hot take. I think.
Don't know. We'll see. I guess, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just more of a traditionalist. I guess I don't know. What do you think about that piece?
It's hard for me because I guess I could try to be objective about it because, like, subjectively, it's just not for me, right? Because this isn't my segment. This isn't my genre.
Sure.
I don't get as excited about this in terms of just that integrated sports watch thing because we see a lot of them.
Yeah.
And we're in a really different position here at the store because we live in this fantasy world where we just get to play with this stuff all day long, every day.
Yeah.
And so for me, the integrated sport watch thing, I've always liked them and appreciated them. But where they are in the current market, there's always other kind of dress watches and things of that nature, or Panoramas that I'd rather buy.
but even for me, who I tend to skew more towards this kind of design, the integrated bracelet, a little bit more funky, a little more different. It doesn't speak to me either. So I don't know if that speaks well of this watch. That the guy who is into more traditional dressier pieces, and the guy who's into funkier steel and sport watches, it doesn't do it for either of us. I don't know. Parmigiani is doing fine without us. Like,
of course, and they will continue.
There are waiting lists a mile long to get their new pieces, and we're selling them very well. Like people really like them and they really want them right now. I don't know. It just doesn't speak to maybe we're not the target audience here. I guess I don't know.
Well, and that's what I always try to say. Like, because a lot of people will ask me, clients will ask me, well, what do you think of that watch? Do you like it?
Yeah.
And as I say, I always try to say objectively that, like, the quality on this is very good. We wouldn't be selling it if we didn't believe that. because we do really try to curate our inventory so that we are selling watches of the absolute highest quality. And so
don't forget to show YouTube the stuff as well. Sorry.
Yep, we did.
Okay, cool.
And so it is within that segment of being a very high quality watch, but I think that to me it's just not to my taste.
Yeah.
You know, and granted, most of them are. Like, to be honest with you, I love the Nautilus, but I would actually do an Aquanaut over a Nautilus.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would rather just have a 5167 or even a 5065.
5065 is where it's at.
Right?
You know what I mean?
That's
With
the
that older
straight-
style.
The straight strap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
I mean,
one.
I would take a Royal Oak over both. But Lion Sean 61 mentioned the Chopard Alpine Eagle, which actually is a
another hot
pretty.
take.
I don't know. So it's not the most elegant of bracelets. It's a little chunky.
You know what though? I've been watching
the
the
dials are
morning
beautiful.
show, and Jennifer Aniston wears a gold
All right.
one with a blue dial on the outside of her sleeve for most of that
Gianni
second
Agnelli
season.
style?
Yeah,
What?
and I wonder if there was a little like if there's an endorsement deal there, but she does, and it actually.
wonder if
I
she's
was
like a
watching it, and I
brand
was like, you
ambassador or
know,
something.
that watch looks really good on her, and like that, I liked it on the outside. She was wearing like a black sweater, and she had it on the outside of the cuff, and I
I
was
mean,
like,
anytime, anytime a woman wears like a sporty men's watch, it
Yeah.
looks cool because it takes some serious like confidence to pull that off. So
Yeah. What did you get? Oh, ask and ye shall receive. Producer Craig on the ball. He can have another
running
beer.
around.
So we need to bring a cloth next time. Mental note to wipe the smudges off. Sorry, folks who are looking. Once again, Johnny on the spot over here. You got a smoke and a light? This is what. This is good.
Okay.
So we have an Alpine Eagle two-tone, and actually the dial's a stunner. I mean, look at the sunburst on that dial. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, so that watch is all about the dial for me. I
This
think,
though, this is a chunker.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's not the
really
most elegant execution when it comes to the bracelet piece. I think if that tapered and if it wasn't as chunky, it would be
Sorry,
much.
you're a bit of a mess.
It would be much better. But the dial is gorgeous. The dial is absolutely beautiful. Like the texture there, kind of that crazy sun ray. This one's gonna be tough to show because it has those registers and everything. But yeah, I mean.
But a
for-
lot of case, and actually the bracelet for measuring very thin. If I were to measure this with a pair of calibers, it'd be very thin. But it feels really kind of substantial, and maybe because it has a really wide taper on the back, it ends up feeling like more bracelet than it actually is. Again, apologies for the fingerprints and the smudges. But this is actually, yeah, it's a watch that, like, I've had them and I'm like, okay, they're good, they're cool, yep, I like it, I see what they're doing. But then, like, seeing it on somebody else's wrist like that and the way she wore it, I was like, man, that looks good.
I feel like I have to look up photos now because that's interesting. It's
camera.
It looks huge on you.
There we are.
I mean, it looks. It fits, but it
Granted, I
it's
don't
big on
have
your
the
wrist.
most impressive wrist. I haven't been doing the wrist curls. I haven't been ripping the wrist curls. That's hard to say.
But yeah, I mean, for a kind of initial foray into that market, I think it's quite successful for Chopard.
That
you know?
tiny center link's actually kind of cool. As I'm looking at it on the
So,
monitor, you like get a
one-
different perspective.
One
It's like, that's
thing
kinda
that I
cool.
will say is that is a pain in the neck to size because that tiny center link, when you undo the link, that link comes off. That centerpiece, that gold centerpiece.
Oh, that's cool.
Totally. I mean,
Yeah.
super cool, but it's a pain in the neck. So don't ever be somebody who works in the industry and might need to size this. For something.
Nothing is
Um,
worse than the Breitling 7-link professional bracelet.
The Tetris
Yeah,
bracelet.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a mess. So, all right. I think we are actually up against it now.
Oh, we got 10 minutes, right? Oh,
Yeah.
Ted Silver, hello, joining.
Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that. All right. Anybody else have any? So final 10 minutes here. We're gonna start wrapping up. But if anybody has any questions or anything, throw it in the chat. We'd love to just kind of shoot it for the last couple of minutes. If
That
not,
is where I was
we'll-
going with that, by the way.
Oh,
Open it up for the people,
Okay,
for
well,
you,
Sorry,
our community.
I didn't want to allow you to have your moment in the sun there. So.
No, well, you never do.
But yeah, I mean, if anybody has any questions, throw them in the chat right now. It's Craig.
Dave-
Anything at all on
Da-
YouTube?
David says, off topic, but any thoughts on if the Pepsi will be discontinued?
No.
No. I mean, it's been in production for the past 60 years.
Maybe if they bring the Coke back.
I would be shocked if Rolex discontinued the Pepsi for the Coke. I would love to see a modern Rolex Coke. I think that would be the coolest thing ever.
Especially on a Jubilee.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Be lovely.
But no.
So if you think about not special watches, right?
Mhm.
There's a couple special watches that have come in and out. Maybe there's a few dials that haven't lasted a real long time.
Yeah.
But I feel like 90% of the time when Rolex introduces something, it's in for the long haul.
Sure.
Right? Like, I think the colored OP thing, there was a plan here with that celebration one. Like, I think they had this plan when they initially launched them that they were going to do some of them very quickly, discontinue them, bring out the celebration. They'll probably discontinue that. Maybe something else will follow that. But I think, because a lot of people, I've even had people like, yo, the Sprite's going to get discontinued real fast. It's like, no, it's not. Because everybody's waiting for another Sea Dweller 4000.
Right.
But I just don't see it. I don't see something like that happening.
Well, especially to the degree that we're talking about. Like the Sea Dweller 4000 was easier to put out and discontinue. You know what I'm saying? Whereas
because they didn't have to. Well, I don't know though, because it was a different case. It wasn't the 5-digit case, and it wasn't the case that came later. So they did have some kind of retooling there in terms of like doing that one.
Do we think that was a mistake?
Oh, it definitely wasn't. It's one of the best Sea Dwellers you could buy.
I know.
No.
I mean, was that a Rolex corporate mistake where they?
I couldn't imagine that watch not selling though. But they
But
must
the
have
amount
discontinued it for
of
a
money,
reason.
the amount of money that goes into developing a new case is huge. It's not like they just
Right, and
you
it's
know,
a
say
long process.
it's just the tooling alone costs so much money. So who knows? Whatever. So How About 24 asks us our thoughts on the Le Mans. I mean, we still haven't seen one in person yet. I don't know if anybody has. I was actually talking to producer
Other
Greg.
than famous people.
I was talking to producer Craig earlier, and I was saying that I literally saw the first photo, like a real photo of a real person, if you know what I mean, just a regular person at an AD in Europe trying it on, and that was literally this week. That was this
one
week.
in Europe to try on.
But that
like
was-
that.
but
He
I-
must have been a heavy customer.
I haven't seen anything anywhere. You know what I mean? So I mean, not seeing it in person, who knows? But I mean, geez, just seeing photos and the specs and everything.
It's the nicest modern Daytona they've made in a long time.
It's beautiful.
I actually like that it's white gold. Everybody's like, it should have been steel, but
No, it's cool.
the white gold has such a beautiful color to it because it has that off, the Europeans call it gray gold because it's not a natural element, so it has that kind of yellowish warmth to it underneath, and that'll be a great watch. But that thing's going to be tremendously expensive forever and ever, amen.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot wait until we see one. But here, let's see.
Yeah, not a mortal watch. Anybody else on YouTube? No? Okay.
Gene says tell Phil hi.
Cool, we will.
Hello. So hold on. So Lion Sean again is just mentioning 5004s. I was just trying to look up one. Let's see. He
Like
mentioned-
5004 on a bracelet?
No. Like a Patek 5004R. So he's mentioning that he sees Sotheby's selling a special order with a special order one with a Roman 12. I'm trying to find it real quick.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing.
like that.
I mean, so yeah, the
5004 is a
5004
great watch.
amazing, absolutely incredible piece. Like totally bullish on
The
that as well.
weirdest proportions in the world, but it's lovely for that.
Yeah, but it
Because
works.
that's what I'm saying. It's like that's part of the charm is that it's
Yeah.
kind of too small and too thick, but like, oh,
I just want to. I
Love it.
really want to find this. Sotheby's one special.
yeah. But now
order.
you're leaving
I
our
know.
poor Instagram peeps in the dust while you go on your Google.
Whoa, dang.
No, that's a Breguet 12. That's like
Oh,
a
yeah, that's not.
that's like a
Oh, look at that
Clapton
thing.
style
Dude.
with a blue
That's crazy.
end scales. Man,
Yeah, right.
a lot
Come
going
on.
on.
All right, sorry. Yeah, we are leaving people in the dust here. I don't know. Sorry, I got sidetracked. I started looking at Patek's. Yes, we did sell that piece. It was incredible.
Yeah. Patek bracelets. Patek bracelets are always very good. Some people don't like how shiny they are, but they can work really well. 5960 on a bracelet in steel.
The best. Black dial. Has
No,
to be black.
white.
No, has to be
No,
black dial.
white.
Has to be black dial.
White.
No, you're
The
wrong.
black is not as good.
usual.
It's super rare and that's cool, but like no
I,
way.
I don't even
White.
care about the rarity.
White.
It looks so much better. Actually, hold on. My client, Andres, hey, what's up, man? He bought a 5960 black dial on a bracelet.
And
it's-
he still has spectacular taste, but the white is better. Sorry, bro.
Wrong. It's all right, Andres. I'll punch Rob when we get off camera. It's fine. Don't worry. We're kind of wrapping up here. I don't know. Any final remarks, Rob? Anything else you want to?
You should show them that watch.
Okay.
Justin is wearing the nicest watch in my opinion.
I love vintage Cartier. I love funky shaped stuff. So here, go ahead, do your thing. So this is a 1991 close to Cartier.
We'll do our Instagram peeps first.
So that was
Dig that loveliness. Or should I show it like that?
Produced in yellow gold only, 200 pieces. I believe it was a Paris release. But, I mean, I have tiny little doll's wrist, so it works on my wrist. It's just, it's incredible. It's so unusual. There's nothing else like it out there. You know, originally, I think the original cloche was released in 1922, and it was meant to kind of be like a travel watch because you could wear it and then you could take it off and put it on your bedside table. And
Look
you
at
could,
that.
yeah, you could put the crown up obviously, and it would work as like a travel desk clock.
But that is Cartier.
Yeah.
That is Cartier at its best.
Exactly.
And that size. Like, you got to
Yep.
be bold, and you got, like, the old school Santos and
Yep.
stuff. Like,
Yep.
be bold, wear it too small,
100%.
and you look like a boss.
I absolutely love that piece.
Like Warhol with the tank
I can't,
kind of thing.
I can't
So
afford a
good.
crash, so this is what I've got.
Well, that's just like my as close to Gilbert Albert as I'll ever get here, right? Like, we all find those pieces because the other stuff is immortal.
Right.
You know, we
Exactly.
just can't get there.
So yeah, I mean, you're wearing a super cool piece too. That trapeze is amazing.
Thank you. No, it's near and dear to my heart because it's just so weird. And I mean, that is too, right? You look at it, you got to relearn how to tell the
Yeah,
time.
I don't even care what time it is. You kidding me? I don't know.
So
Go
I
ahead,
think it's
wrap it
time
up.
to say thank you all for joining us. We had a lot of fun on this one. We're going to keep doing this every Friday at 5 o'clock. Sorry, I'm trying to go back and forth between this one and that one. We hope you'll keep joining us. We hope that you're subscribing on YouTube so that you start seeing some of our review videos that we're doing, which will be a little bit more produced, pre-recorded, and we'll continue to do these lives. And we're going to keep doing them probably in this format where we have an Instagram phone hooked up, but then the real show is over on YouTube where we can have the DSLR quality, we can have multiple angles, and eventually we're going to start getting better sound and all of these things as we continue to ramp up our content efforts here at European Watch Company.
If you guys have suggestions on things that we can do to improve the experience, things you want us to talk about, things you want to see, things you want to see us do, whatever, we're open to suggestions.
Ted Silver going back to work.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if he's saying he is or if he's telling us to go back to work, but either way, I'm not sure either is likely.
He said he enjoyed himself though, so that's good. So thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week at the same time. I'm actually going to be away, so Rob, you're going to have to find a stand-in for. You can just put a cardboard cutout of me here. That's fine.
I think we need to make a cardboard. That would be excellent.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a great week.